I moved into this apartment complex 2 years ago, and from the very first day, there was something unsettling about the man living next door. He never spoke, he never smiled, he barely even looked at me. At first, I brushed it off as a neighbor who valued privacy. But the way he lingered just out of sight, standing at the window, watching the street at night, or the sound of his footsteps in the hallway that stopped just as I approached, made him impossible to ignore. His name was Lucas. That's all I knew. My landlord mentioned him in passing as though he was part of the furniture. Quiet guy, pays on time, never any trouble. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling there was more to him. Something hidden beneath the surface of his silence. I would catch glimpses of him when he thought no one was looking. The way his eyes followed me when I returned late from work, or how I'd see his silhouette in his window staring down at me as I walked through the courtyard. It sent a shiver down my spine, but not from fear. From something else. Something darker. More forbidden. Then one night, everything changed. There was a storm. The power went out, and the building was plunged into darkness. I fumbled through the hallway, trying to find my way back to my apartment when I heard his door creak open. My breath caught in my throat as I froze. "Are you okay?" a deep voice asked. It was the first time I had ever heard him speak. My heart raced as I turned, and there he was, standing in the darkness. Just a shadow of a man, his face illuminated by the dim glow of his phone. For the first time, I saw him up close, the sharpness of his jawline, the intense look in his eyes, and I knew, in that moment, I was stepping into something dangerous. After that night, everything felt different. I couldn't stop thinking about him. The way his voice had sounded so smooth, so calm in the dark, I began to notice him more and more. Small things, like the way he always wore black, or how his eyes seemed to pierce through me every time we crossed paths. There was an attraction there, simmering beneath the surface. I felt it every time I walked past his door, every time I caught him watching me from his window. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to know more. Who was he really? Why did he always stay in the shadows? I went online, searched his name, but there was nothing, no social media, no records, nothing that gave me any clue about who Lucas really was. The next day, I knocked on his door. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I wasn't thinking at all. But when he opened it, his expression told me he wasn't surprised. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice low, almost a warning. I wanted to turn back. I should have. But something about the way he looked at me, the way his hand lingered on the doorframe, pulled me in deeper. I felt like I was falling into a trap I couldn't escape. I just wanted to talk," I stammered, my voice betraying my nerves. For a moment, he said nothing, just studied me with those intense eyes. Then, with a sigh, he stepped aside, letting me in. His apartment was sparse, almost cold, but there was a sense of order, a control to it that felt suffocating. As I stepped inside, I felt like I was crossing a line, stepping into his world. "What are you hiding, Lucas?" I asked, unable to stop myself. His jaw tightened, and for a second I thought he wouldn't answer. But then he turned to me, his gaze hard, and said, "You wouldn't understand." I was about to press further when I noticed something strange on his wall. Maps, photographs, notes pinned in a pattern that seemed too deliberate. My stomach twisted. What was this? "You need to leave," he said suddenly, his voice sharp. The shift in his tone sent a chill down my spine, but I couldn't move, not yet. There was something here, something I needed to know. The more I learned, the more I realized how dangerous Lucas truly was. He wasn't just a quiet neighbor with a mysterious past. There was something darker in his world, something that had pulled me in. The notes, the photographs, they weren't random. They were connected to disappearances, crimes I'd seen on the news but never connected to anyone I knew. He was involved, maybe not directly, but he was watching, tracking something or someone. I should have run. I should have left that night and never looked back. But instead, I did the opposite. I confronted him. "Why are you doing this? What do you want?" I demanded, my voice trembling as he stood across the room, his eyes dark, unreadable. "I told you to stay away," he growled, stepping closer, his presence overwhelming. But I couldn't stay away. Not now. Not when I was this deep. And God help me, not when I felt this pull, this maddening attraction toward him. The line between fear and desire blurred as he stepped closer, his hand brushing mine. My heart pounded. but I didn't move. "You're making a mistake," he warned, his breath hot against my skin. "Maybe," I whispered, feeling the tension coil tight between us. And then, without thinking, without care for the consequences, I kissed him. It was reckless, dangerous, but it was also the moment I'd been waiting for, the one that changed everything. I should have run, but instead I chose him.